Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1991 AN. Today's date is October 9th, 2019, and the title of the episode is The Central Bank System is Coming to an End. Patriots Accelerate the Plan. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about Trump's Freedom Coin. When Noble Gold released this solid silver Trump 2020 Freedom Coin, they had no idea how successful President Trump would be or how much interest there would be in their coins. They are now releasing this stunning brand new Commander-in-Chief design to the world. Be the envy of your friends or buy them as well, and treat yourself to one of these fabulous souvenirs today. Go to TrumpCoin2020.com and use the code X22 Report to save $5 off per coin. This is a limited time offer, so make sure to get yours today. So go to TrumpCoin2020.com, use the code X22 Report to receive the $5 off per coin. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we know that this central bank system, it is coming to an end. Trump and the Patriots, they know that this system cannot last forever. Trump is using everything the deep state, the central bank, have been using for years upon years against them right now. And Trump and the Patriots, they're preparing, and they only have a specific time where they can make this transition. They need to do this before the central bank system completely implodes on itself. What has been done so far? When we look at what they've done, Trump has come in, right off the bat, he removed the globalist trade deals. The TPP, boom, shut that down. Renegotiated NAFTA. It is the USMCA, and he's waiting for Congress to do something. So trade deals were renegotiated, making newer, fairer trades. He still has one ongoing with China. We know once the UK has a no-deal Brexit, we know right there and then that there's going to be an interim trade deal with the UK outside of the system. We know that Trump has deregulated. He's going to actually deregulate some more. We know that he's already implemented tax cuts. We're going to see a lot more tax cuts. He's already called on NATO countries to pay up their fair share. He's won that landmark suit against the EU, and they cannot retaliate right now. Trump has given the speech at the UN saying that the globalists have no future in this new world. And he did this on purpose. He was sending out a message. And now the UN says it's running out of money. The United Nations has a massive budget problem and may run out of cash by the end of this month. This is coming out of CBS News. United Nations can run out of money in a few weeks. This is coming from the Secretary General. The United Nations is running a deficit of about $230 million. He said that they may run out of money by the end of October. In a letter intended for the 37,000 employees at the UN Secretariat and obtained by CBS, the Secretary General said unspecified additional stopgap measures would have to be taken to ensure salaries and entitlements are paid. Member states have paid only 70% of the total amount needed for our regular budget operations in 2019. This translates into a cash shortage of $230 million at the end of September. We run the risk of depleting our backup liquidity reserves by the end of the month. Now, Trump, he tweeted out the following. So make all member countries pay, not just the United States. And the Secretary General has asked member states earlier this year to up contributions to the UN to help with their cash flow problems. Now, Trump, he's holding back funds. He wants other countries to ante up, just like with NATO. Why is he doing this? He's doing this because he's preparing the United States for the transition. No longer can the United States use the Federal Reserve credit card to pay for everything that's going on around the world. No longer will the United States be taken advantage of. And since the central bank system is coming to an end, everything needs to change. Now, what we have noticed is that more countries are moving away from the dollar. Now, we've said this before Trump even came into office, and we knew that this was part of the central bank plan. They were going to move everything someplace else. The United States was no longer going to be the reserve currency of the world. Russia is selling its oil outside the dollar. China, Iran, Venezuela, and the Middle Eastern countries, they are now selling outside of the dollar. Saudi Arabia made a deal with Russia, and guess what? They're not using the dollar in that trade. Trump is ending the endless wars in the Middle East. Remember, this was set up for the petrodollar. If we go back to 1971, we had Henry Kissinger. He was making the deals throughout the 60s with the Middle East and said to them, listen, we will use our military to protect you as long as you sell the oil using the Federal Reserve note, which we call the petrodollar. And these countries kept the Federal Reserve note in their reserves. They used this to buy goods from the United States. This is why we didn't need fair trade deals, because they were using their reserves to buy our goods. This is when we had quite a bit of manufacturing here in the United States. But everything changed, of course. Now, think about this, and we've said this back during the period of Obama. We knew eventually countries were going to move away from the Federal Reserve note. And those notes that were held in reserve, they were going to flow back to the United States. And we would see inflation like we've never seen inflation. It's called hyperinflation. Now, the Patriots, they know this. The Patriots decided to do something very, very interesting. And it is happening right now. Trump mentioned that the United States is becoming energy independent. We are producing shale oil. We are selling this oil to other areas around the world. And those countries that want to buy this oil have to have US dollars. Now, the shale oil industry, well, it doesn't really make a profit right now. It did when the oil prices were much higher, but as they came down, it kind of clobbered them. So the government is subsidizing the shale oil business. Now, all these dollars, because we know around the world that countries are moving away from the dollar. The dollars have to go someplace. They just don't disappear into thin air. Those dollars are coming back to the United States, and they're using this to subsidize the oil industry. And they're telling other countries to use their dollars to purchase this oil. They can't allow the dollar to hit Main Street. If the dollar hits Main Street, we will see hyperinflation. Now, think about what is happening here. We are moving away from the Middle Eastern oil. We are moving away from the petrodollar system. And when you start to put all this together, you get new trade deals. We're not paying for NATO. We're not going to be the sole supplier of NATO. We're not going to be the sole supplier of the UN. And we need to produce energy. We also need companies, manufacturers coming back to the United States. We need to deregulate, which I believe we're going to see a lot more deregulation coming up very, very soon. And we need to cut taxes to allow the people to have more and more spending currency to keep the economy alive. All of this is being prepped for the transition. That's what we see happening right now. Actually, we are in the middle of the pre-transition into the new economy. It is being set up right now. And there's going to be more and more countries that will move away from the Federal Reserve note. Now, this doesn't mean they're moving away from the U.S. They're moving away from the central bank debt note. Yes, there's going to be a new currency. What it is, I don't know, but I do believe it's going to be backed by gold. Q has told us that gold is going to destroy the Fed. Yesterday, we reported that Trump, his team, tweeted out the gold standard, letting us know that this is where we are headed. And we also have information that the gold that was removed from Fort Knox, that has been recovered. But we see that there are more and more countries that are making deals outside of the central bank note. Why? Because they understand that this system is about to implode. They know what's going on. They might not tell the people. Because think about it. If you went out and you told the people, listen, you know the system we're in right now? Well, this is a central bank run system. It's built on an illusion. They manipulate the stock market. Yeah, it's not real. They manipulate the interest rates. Yeah, that's not real either. We haven't had an open and free market for a very, very long time. And you know the unemployment numbers, the GDP numbers and everything that they've been talking about? Yeah, those are manipulated too. Oh, and by the way, everything's going to be coming crashing down because the central bank system with their debt load, the whole system's going to implode. This is why you see countries moving away from the reserve currency of the world, the Federal Reserve debt note. This is why they're trading in their own currencies. Can you imagine what would happen if any leader told the population that this is what is happening? There would be panic. You think there'd be bank runs? You think everyone would be putting their money into gold and silver? Do you think everyone would be taking their currency out of the stock market? The whole system would come down from panic. Period. Instead, what the Patriots are doing, and this is completely different than what the deep state and the central bank was going to do. They were going to let the whole thing fall apart. They were going to explain this away by saying there was an event, and that's why we have a credit freeze. That's why the economy is imploding. That's why the shelves are bare. That's why you can't find a job. Trump and the Patriots, there is going to be no event. There's going to be no war. There's going to be nothing like that. What's going to happen here is they're going to transition us into this new system. And what we just explained, you can see how they're preparing for this. And this is at an accelerated rate. This is how fast they're moving. Think about it. Trump is going into he's in his third year term. He's going to be going into his fourth year term. And look how much has been done. Now, if he had the assistance of Congress, guess what? We get a lot more done. If actually Congress was working for the people, Congress would have voted to audit the Fed. Congress would have voted to go in and check to see if we had gold in Fort Knox. Trump would have signed it all. But guess what? Congress is not working for the people. Congress is working for their own personal agenda. So what is happening here is that Trump and the Patriots, they're moving as quickly as possible to prepare this economic system, to make the transition as easy as possible, so people do not lose as much as it would be with the deep state and the central bank. Now, does that mean you're not going to lose anything? Well, think about it. We're dealing with a failing fiat system, a currency that's going to go to absolutely nothing. Look what happened in Germany. Look what happened in Argentina. Look what happened in Zimbabwe when we had hyperinflation and the currency was worth absolutely nothing. People were wheeling around wheelbarrows just to pay for like a cup of coffee. Actually, people were using it to light their furnaces. This can't happen. So the transition will be a lot smoother. Yes, it will be a bumpy road. It's not going to be smooth. This is why we've been telling everyone to be prepared. But on the other side, things are going to rapidly improve and people are going to see something that is much, much better than where we were. And this is going to be without a central bank system. And once again, the Patriots, Trump, they're working as fast as possible because they know this debt level around the world, the central bank system, it is completely falling apart and it has accelerated. So Trump and the Patriots have to accelerate their plan. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.